Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 15 favourite movies from the year 1984. Yeah, looking back on 84, this has to be one of my favourites. I think the movies from this year just absolutely galvanised the 80s, I think. Definitely some of them in particular. But yeah, like always guys, these are all in accordance with the release dates from IMDb. They all have 1984 against their name. This is just my personal favourite list of my top 15 favourite movies from that year. Yours is going to be different, and so it should be. And as well, I'm going to leave all my honourable mentions that didn't make the cut down in the description below. So yeah, that being said, going to kick it off with number 15. So coming in at number 15, we've got a movie that I think some people might be surprised to see this low on the list. But yeah, coming in at number 15 for me is The Karate Kid. This is a movie I really, really like. I don't love this film, but yeah, it's not a movie I watch a hell of a lot when it comes to rewatch, but I do really like it for what it is. It's just that story of the new kid who's trying to fit in and is getting bullied and meets a mentor who can help him. And that's fine. I just don't get out of this movie what most people do. I think it's what's put me off from watching the TV show, which I've heard nothing but positive things about. But yeah, for me, this is just a really okay movie. I just don't love it. It's not there, and I have to be honest with myself. It's just not there the way most people do. But I do appreciate the movie. I do really appreciate what it does and what it goes for, and I know its significance. But yeah, for me, it's just not a movie I love. But I do still really, really like it for what it is. So yeah, that is my number 15 pick, The Karate Kid. So coming in at number 14, we have the movie that actually won Best Picture for this year. It also won Best Director and Best Actor, and that is Amadeus. Yeah, this is just a fun reimagining, retelling of the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart story. I don't really would go as far as say it's a biopic, but it does feel epic enough to be that. But it's just sort of, a lot of it I think is fabricated, but I still find this movie entertaining and enjoyable for what it is. And I love the dynamic between the two main leads in the movie, this rivalry that they have. Both musicians, both great and very talented, but one finds that the other, just the talent comes to him more easily, and he gets jealous, and that's basically the story. And I just love it. I love these type of rivalry movies, and yeah, it's just a great film. It's epic, it's fun, it's daft, it's silly, and yeah, I just have a great time with it. The music in it is fabulous as well. So yeah, that is my number 14 pick, Amadeus. So coming in at number 13, we have Peter Weller in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. I can't really explain what this movie is about, and I don't think most other people who've seen it can either. This movie is just batshit insane. I can't really explain the premise. It's just so absurd, so outlandish, and yet one heck of an enjoyable time. It is just so bizarre, and it works on every level for it. The movie is just nothing but boring. The cast in this is just absolutely fucking insane. When you look at it on paper, it's just nuts, and I love the movie for it. That's all I can really say about it. It is just a hodgepodge of what the fuckery, and I just absolutely love it. Yeah, it's just great to see all these cast members thrown into this sci-fi under the radar 80s movie, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, that is my number 13 pick, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. So coming in at number 12, we have Brian De Palma's Body Double. Yeah, this is, again, a bit of a return to form for De Palma, I think, in terms of his Hitchcockian-esque movies. Not that he was had broken form at the time or anything like that. This was just a return to that type of genre, I think. with movies like Sisters. And yeah, this was one that I just really, really enjoyed. I watched this movie for the first time a couple of years ago, and my God, I had an absolute ball with it. I was just blown away. It just ticked every box I look for when watching an 80s movie. The music, the acting, everything about it was just phenomenal, and I just really enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everyone. It isn't, but for me, it just really, really worked, and I really, really enjoyed this one. Quite creepy, great acting. Dennis Franz pops up in this movie as well, and I love anything he's in. I think anything he touches turns to gold. But yeah, this was just a great surprise for me, and I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is my number 12 pick, Brian De Palma's Body Double. So coming in at number 11, and it's very apt that this movie comes in at 11th place, I think. You'll agree as well, and that is This is Spinal Tap. Yeah, this is just a great mockumentary by Rob Reiner following the band Spinal Tap. When I first watched this movie, I was in school, and I'd heard so many people say how great and how funny it was. And I finally picked up the DVD when I was younger, watched it, and I think everything that the movie was going for just went over my head, and I completely missed the point, and I didn't go back to it for years and years and years. It was only through COVID, through actually sitting down and rewatching the film again, that I really, really appreciated it and had an absolute great time with it. So yeah, hence why my love for the movie wasn't there at first viewing, but I think on many, many more rewatches in the future of this movie, I'll grow to love it even more. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's great. The actors are just having a ball as this band, and all the misfits and trials and tribulations that they go through are just so funny and so great. So yeah, it's one that I'm going to appreciate a lot more in rewatch, I think. So yeah, that is my number 11 pick. This is Spinal Tap. So cracking into the top 10 now, we have a little known movie. I think this is one that's sort of finding its footing nowadays through watching other YouTubers and things, but this is one that I really enjoyed. So coming in at number 10, we have Linda Blair in Savage Street. Just what a great revenge movie. This is another one of those movies from the 80s that has not the best acting, but the heart and soul, it just has an absolute bucket loads. It's just a really fun, yet quite difficult at times to watch, just revenge movie. So it is basically Linda Blair's at this school, and her sister gets attacked, and she just seeks revenge on this gang who attacked and violated her sister. And it's just, Linda Blair is just great. It's just one of these movies where the female lead kicks ass, and it's just absolutely entertaining to boot to watch. And yeah, it's just a great film from her for her to do, I think, as well. 11 years after The Exorcist, and yeah, it's just a really, really entertaining time to boot. So yeah, that is my number 10 pick, Savage Street. So coming in at number 9, we have The Never Ending Story. So many people I know grew up watching this film, and they just say, oh, it's an absolutely fantastic movie. I didn't see this movie until I was at university, and I was just really sort of entertained by it. I was like, this is a movie that's been missing from my childhood. I really dug it. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think what stuck out for me the most about this film is the soundtrack and the score by Giorgio Moroder. It's just absolutely phenomenal, particularly when you see the Ivory Tower for the first time in this movie. That music is just synonymous, and I instantly linked it with my childhood. I could just... There are visuals when I walk past places from my childhood, and even nowadays, and I can hear that type of music. It was just... it just really, really took me aback. I think in today's day and age, it's not perfect. There are definitely some kinks in the movie now. But yeah, for the time, I think this was just really entertaining, really enjoyable, and just a great fantasy movie. So yeah, that is my number 9 pick, The Never Ending Story. So coming in at number 8, we have a movie that I actually did grow up with, and when you see it, you'll probably be thinking, what the hell? Yeah, so coming in at number 8, we have Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, this was a movie I saw, I think, oddly enough, on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know why. It may have been actually Comedy Central now that I think about it, but yeah, it was great. I had such a great time with it. It was just 80s sleaze and everything you'd expect it to be. The movie just delivers on that. It's nothing more and it's nothing less. It is an 80s sleaze, fun time, cheesy time. It's all of that stuff. And yeah, what I really loved about this was the characters. It's the jocks, pretty much. They burn down their house that they're staying in, so they kick the nerds out of theirs. The nerds have to go and live in the gym, and the nerds are just absolutely sick of these jocks just taking over, running amok. The head coach of the jocks as well is played by John Goodman. He's just great in the role, and they get one over on them in the end, and they win the day and they win the year. And yeah, it does have one scene in this movie which does not hold up by today's standards. But yeah, I'm not going to defend that scene at all, but it is what it is. And yeah, the movie for me on the whole is just fun. It's a fun, entertaining time, great music, great characters, and yeah, it's just an all-round fun time. So yeah, that is my next pick, Revenge of the Nerds. So coming in at number 7, we have John Carpenter's Starman. Yeah, this is one of John Carpenter's most underappreciated movies, I think. It's very sort of simple, I think, compared to his other movies. Whereas his other movies, I think, have great, grand, bold, big effects. This one takes more of a back seat, and it's essentially just a road trip movie. With some amazing acting, particularly from Jeff Bridges. It follows Karen Allen's character, who has lost her husband. He's passed away, and this alien lands, and it takes the form of her husband, and he needs to get somewhere, and he needs her to drive her there. And the two of them just weirdly sort of bond and build this relationship. And the end of the movie is just really heartwarming. The score in this movie as well is just absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing. And yeah, it's one of these really, really underappreciated sci-fi movies, which again does a lot with a little. But it's just a great underappreciated John Carpenter movie. So yeah, that is my number 7 pick, Starman. So coming in at number 6, we have Joe Dante's Gremlins. Yeah, just what can I say about this movie? It's a great creature feature. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's over the top, it's silly. It's all of those words put into a blender, and just an all-round good heck of a time. And it's set at Christmas as well. So yeah, just a great movie, great concept about this little creature called the Mogwai. And you have to obey these 3 rules. Don't feed them after midnight, don't expose them to sunlight, and don't get them wet. And obviously the movie breaks all 3 of these rules, and mayhem ensues, and it's an absolute shitstorm that follows. And yeah, it's just a great entertaining movie, one of Joe Dante's best. Obviously penned by Chris Columbus and produced by Spielberg. Yeah, just an all-round great fun creature feature entertainment movie, and yeah, just absolutely wonderful film. So yeah, can't say anything more about it. Everyone's seen this, everyone knows how fun and great it is. So yeah, that is my next pick, Gremlins. So coming up next at number 5, we have one of my favourite horror movies, and that is Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Still got my old VHS. And yeah, this is, funnily enough, I think this was the last Elm Street movie I saw in the franchise. I think it may have been this or the 6th one. But yeah, I had seen a big chunk of the Freddy movies, bar the first one, and wanted to go back and rewatch the first one. And I could really see why this one probably was the scariest. Definitely the most violent. Just a great concept as well about this killer who gets you while you were sleeping. There's nothing more horrifying than that, because that's probably when you're asleep, when you feel you're most vulnerable, and that just creates some weird kind of terror that you just can't escape. And yeah, it's violent. Robert Englund kills it as Freddy Krueger. I think this movie plays to its strength, that it sort of keeps him in the shadows a bit more in this film. And yeah, it's just an all-round great horror movie. It's entertaining to boot. You really enjoy the characters in this movie as well. And yeah, Freddy Krueger is just a phenomenal villain. Yeah, just really love this one. So yeah, that is my number 5 pick, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So coming in at number 4, we have Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, just a great, fun, entertaining movie. I think definitely by 84, I think Eddie Murphy was definitely finding his stride. And yeah, this was just another one of those movies that was just a great, fun, revenge type movie. His friend gets murdered and he wants to capture the guys who've done it, but he's out of his jurisdiction. His hands are tied in terms of what he can do, but he just does it anyway. And it just leads to some great chemistry between him and the other cops in the movie. And yeah, Eddie Murphy's just great as Axel Foley in this film. Spawned 2 sequels, which aren't as good, but I still enjoy them. And yeah, it's just an all-round really fun, really good movie. Yeah, I just have an absolute great time with this one. So yeah, that is my number 4 pick, Beverly Hills Cop. So coming in at number 3, taking the bronze medal from 84, we have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is, hands down, and I'm not ashamed to say this, my personal favourite Indiana Jones movie. I love this film. Yeah, I have such a great time with it. This, for me, was the first Indiana Jones movie I ever saw. I remember seeing clips of this film when I was a kid, when it was on TV, and I was just blown away by what I saw. I love how dark the movie is. Yeah, how, I don't want to say funny, but lighthearted it is at times as well. I think as well, the main problem people have with this movie is, well, the 2 main problems are the tone that it has, and some of the characters can be quite annoying. I personally never had an issue with either of those issues. I understand people not connecting with the movie as much because of those issues, but for me, this was just a nice, clean, ironed sheet of a film, and I just didn't have any of the kinks or problems with it that most people do. But that's just me. That's just my taste. This movie worked for me. I absolutely loved it. I loved Harrison Ford in the role. I loved this movie's pacing. It just never lets up. It's so relentless. We're just on from one entertaining scene after the next, and it just goes and goes and goes, and it just doesn't give you time to breathe. And that's what I love about this movie. It's just great. It's horrifying at times as well. It's just a great, fun movie, but I can understand people having issues with it. But for me, it is my personal favourite one. I know I'm in the minority there, but that's just me. So yeah, coming in at 3rd place is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So coming in at number 2, taking the silver medal from 1984, is Ivan Reitman's Ghostbusters. I absolutely loved Ghostbusters as a kid, but it wasn't this Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters I grew up with personally was the 80s animated show. I loved that show as a kid. Watching that show as a kid, I had no idea that it was based on a movie, an already existing property. It was what I thought of Ghostbusters as soon as it was said, was that animated show. I loved it. I grew up with it. I have the DVD box set. It's my Ghostbusters. I actually prefer that show to the movie. But yeah, I actually got around to watching the movie because so many people had said to me, even when I was a kid, said, oh, there's a Ghostbusters movie, there's a live action one. So I finally got around to watching it, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Just an all-round lightning in a bottle type of movie. Sadly, I don't think the sequels have captured the magic that the first one has, but it's the magic that movie has is so rare, and it just works for me. It's one of the best movies as well about setting up a business for the first time. It's just great. These three scientists that get kicked off campus of the university they're working with start their own business in catching ghosts, and they build this equipment that's untested. Yeah, and they just go for it. They just do it, and it's so much fun. They have amazing chemistry together. It's just a fantastic movie, and I just absolutely love it. But yeah, the cartoon for me will always be what I consider to be Ghostbusters. But again, that's just me. But I know that cartoon wouldn't exist without this movie. So yeah, the first Ghostbusters is just, yeah, it's a phenomenal film. I absolutely love it. So yeah, coming in second place, we have Ghostbusters. So coming in at first place, taking the gold medal for me is just, God, yeah, this movie sums up staying up late on a Friday night, watching ITV and just seeing these awesome movies from the 80s, and this was one of them. So coming in at number one, we have James Cameron's The Terminator. Yeah, the role that put Arnold Schwarzenegger on the map. Absolutely phenomenal concept to this film. Great time travel movie. I just love this film. Sending a machine back in time to go and kill the future mother of a resistance fighting team is just, yeah, it's phenomenal. I love the concept of this. I love the characters in it. I think Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn are great. It's Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. And Arnold Schwarzenegger just fits the role so perfectly. I think it's fair to say Arnold Schwarzenegger is not the most gifted of actors. He's an absolutely phenomenal movie star, but this role definitely suits his acting abilities. He was just born to play this role, and yeah, I just have such a great time with this film. I think the score of this movie is absolutely amazing as well. The concept, the direction from James Cameron is great. It's so atmospheric. This movie is it's a horror movie in sheep's clothing, I think, and yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful. Really love this film. I know some of the effects are a bit ropey now by today's standards, but it was 1984. Give the movie a bit of a break. So yeah, just absolutely love this film. So coming in first place, we have The Terminator. So yeah, those are my top 15 favourite movies from 1984. Gonna leave the video there, guys, and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.